Hi, I'm Kim Richardson with brickwallbustercards.com, here today to talk to you about tagging your heirlooms to make sure they have a future in your family. This is going to be a 5-step process. It's very easy to do and well worth your time. We are going to make a list of the heirlooms that should move forward to the next generation or that you want to make sure go to a specific person. We are going to mark or tag those particular heirlooms. We will make a plan um, for the best way to gift those, and we'll discuss some considerations for informing your family of your wishes. So, first, how do you start? What do you do first? First thing that you do is to make a list of all the heirlooms that you want to make sure have a place. Or you make sure go to a specific person in your family. Just walk through your house and make a continual list. Continue to add to it as time goes by. Make sure that you're checking in closets and drawers and storage spaces, and just finding all of those items that have sentimental value to you, or possibly not sentimental value, but have a monetary value, and you want to make sure they go to a particular person. After you create your list, you're ready to go to the next step, which is to tag or mark that item with important information. You're going to attach a note to the item itself, and I'll show you what I typically record on items. But of utmost important is to make sure that that tag or that mark is not going to damage the item in any way. And what do I mean by that? Well, you can use blank address labels to write down information about an item, or something like washi's tape or painter's tape, uh, masking tape to write down information, a sticky note. But if you adhere those items, those types of notes to your heirloom, you want to make sure that it is an heirloom that will not be damaged by that adhesive. So it could be that you have to use a mix of things. Maybe a sticky would work on some things, but then there are other items, particularly like those made out of wood or fabric, that you don't want to attach anything of any stickiness or adhesive to. And so those might be where you need to um, use an index card or a piece of paper, or these stringed tags that you can buy in packs. They come in different sizes. Typically, you can attach a stringed tag to something and it not cause any damage. But whatever item, whatever notation system you decide, or a combination of those things, just make sure that you're preserving that heirloom and not causing damage to it. Now, what do you do with that tag once you've decided how to tag a particular item? You're going to write on it. And some things to consider are where the item came from, how it came to be in your possession, how old it is. So, when was it made or when was it purchased? Why is it special? If you have room to note that, and who will inherit it. Be consistent in that information. So, here is the bottom of a vase. It was glass, and so an adhesive was appropriate here. This is Mama's vase. It was a gift from Papa in 1927 when he went on a trip to Georgia, and Ashley is to inherit this vase. And so those are all noted on that item. Now, I make sure that I have 2 copies of this information. One will go on the tag itself, but I keep another place of the same information, and probably a good bit more detail, in a binder it's just an heirloom binder that I keep. I do print it out and keep it in a physical binder. And a lot of people say, well, couldn't I make a computer backup or use an heirloom registry online? You can pay a subscription to an heirloom registry online. And yes, you could use either one of those things. And I think both of those are great backups to your paper records. But the problem with relying on those to make sure that your wishes are carried out is that you have to make sure that your family knows where those files are located, that your family remembers that the files exist, that they know how to access them. And that can be, all of that can be lost over time. And someone could forget that those files exist. They may not remember how to access them. It's possible that you move them or your subscription ends and you forget to do anything else with the information. But if you have a binder, and I would say make 2 copies of the binder, and leave one in your house and give one to a loved one. If you have this information in a binder and you have the tags on the heirloom, you're looking at a double system there where you're less likely to have any misunderstandings or loss of information in the future. And so, what does this look like? Well, here's an example. I'm going to show you 2 examples of my own things. This is a kaleidoscope that my mother made me when I was a little girl, and I still do. I love kaleidoscopes. And my mom loves stained glass, and she learned how to create things of stained glass. And one thing that she made was a kaleidoscope. This is the only kaleidoscope she made. It is about 23 years old now, but she gifted me with this kaleidoscope that she made for me. And so I noted that information on a tag. That tag goes on the kaleidoscope, but I also filled out a form and I put it in a binder. On that form, I included pictures that I took of the kaleidoscope. So now, even if all of this gets separated, if the tag is ever separated from the item, the binder has the information in there and it has a picture of the item as well. Now, so that I'm not displaying this tag all of the time, I kind of tuck it underneath the kaleidoscope so that you can't see it, but it stays on there. Um, Here's a situation where I don't want to put any adhesive products on this item. This is a bowl that my father handmade for me. He turned this from a piece of wood that came from a tree that was in our backyard when my brother and I were growing up. He made my brother the twin bowl out of the same piece of wood. And so this has obviously got some sentimental value to me. I want to make sure that it's provided for in the event of my death. I don't want to stick anything to this bowl though. And so that's when this binder is especially important, because this tag could be separated from this bowl very easily. And the way that I store the tagged information here is I put it underneath the bowl and it just sits there. My hope is that when somebody picks it up, the tag is still there. But if not, I've got this binder as a backup as well. So those are 2 examples of the system that I use. Now, what do you need to plan? What are some considerations? Obviously, you need to consider who inherits what. And it may be that you choose to match the items to the heirs yourself, and you go ahead and make all those decisions on the front end. It could be that you wish to allow your heirs to choose what items they wish to have. And if that's the case, you may want to set some ground rules and say, okay, it's going to be first come, first serve, or we're going to take turns here, or you can choose 5 items to inherit, something like that. Only you know what that particular set of rules needs to be, because only you know all of the considerations for your particular family, in that you know their personalities, you know whether there are any rivalries or not. You also know the needs of your family. So do you have some items that you know could benefit particular family members, and you want to make sure that those specific people inherit those specific items that could help them? And you also know who has limited space and who doesn't. So you probably don't want to hand down all of the family heirloom furniture to someone who you know has absolutely no space for it. So all of those things are considerations in planning how to distribute your gifts. You also need to think about when you're going to do this. You certainly can do it now, but you also have the option of preparing all of this to be taken care of through your estate. Or you could do a combination of the two. If you decide to gift things now, there's always opportunities to do that. We continually have birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, first homes being purchased, promotions at work. There are chances to give these heirlooms as gifts in celebration of life. And there are also things like reunions and family holiday get togethers, where you could take some of these items and see them put into the hands of your family to make sure they go where you want them to go. If you decide to wait and provide for a place for these heirlooms later through your estate, you want to make sure that you're stating in your will what you want that process to be and who you wish to inherit these items. You also want to make sure that you're leaving those instructions in that heirloom binder, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want all of these items to be distributed and then your family to find out in your will that you wanted something different done with them. And so if you are leaving them instructions in that binder, even if it is to say, hey, all of these items have been provided for in my will, please consult my will, then you've at least given them that direction and you've made things easier for them in that time as well. How do you inform your family that this is what you're doing or what you want done? Well, again, that's very individual for your family. It may be best to tell some people one on one. You need to know that some people are going to tell you, I don't want to talk about this. This is hard. I don't want to have this conversation. And that's okay. You could try to just say, hey, I just want to let you know I've provided this information and we don't have to talk about it. I just want you to know. You could announce at a family get together that this is the decision you have made, and that you would like for everyone to work together to make sure that your wishes are carried out. You could decide to write everyone a note and inform them in writing. Regardless of how you decide to have that conversation with your family, you want to make sure that whoever you've chosen to take care of your estate knows that that is something that you've done, that you have this heirloom binder, that you've already decided what to do with all of these things. And you also probably want to tell your next of kin. You need to tell at least two people that this is in place for you, that this is what you want done. If you want a copy of that form that I used for my binder, please send me an email. I'm happy to share it with you. It's Kim@brickwallbustercards.com. And I will just tell me you want the heirloom form and I'll send it right out to you. No problem. I'm happy to share things that I have that we can all use. There is a consideration for things that you don't really care if they get handed down or not. And that may be something where you leave a note and you say, hey, this item is not sentimental to me. I don't really care what gets done with it. I don't know what I want done with it. It's just, for example, with this is something I bought on vacation when I was in Florida in 1993. It has no sentimental value to me at all. And just leave that note with this item. It may be that you have another binder that you leave in your jewelry box or in your china cabinet to say, hey, these are the things that I've acquired that I don't, I have no particular desire to see done one thing or the other. I hope this has helped you know how to provide a future for your heirlooms. And if I can answer any questions for you or if you have any comments, please reach out to me at Kim@brickwallbustercards.com.